Good morning, everyone. My name is Ollie Fegan. I'm CEO of Usher U, and I'm delighted to kick off this panel, which is called Ready to Launch. And we have three wonderful guests who come with very different experiences about launching arenas in different parts of the world, but also with different, different environments, different communities. And I think the couple of things that we really want to discuss today is about their personal journey, but also about the journey of launching their arena and becoming part of the community, and building a community of an audience that want to come back time and time again. And obviously very important in this whole journey is the content. And I suppose content is such an important part. Content is king, which I shouldn't say in this day and age. But it's a really important part of the jigsaw, and we'll sort of get into this with Erin, Amber, and Becci to understand the differences of their arenas and the content, and I suppose what's important to them. And without further ado, and thankfully Erin has arrived just on time. It would be great to do just to kick off with a very quick, 60-second, 90-second introduction to yourself, and then after that we'll get on to a little bit of an introduction to your arenas. So Erin, over to you.
Hi, everyone. How are you? Thank you so much for having me, Oliver. I really appreciate it. I'm the VP of Marketing at UBS Arena. Joined the team before we opened, about 10 months before, and it's been absolutely wonderful to see the venue come to life. I feel like a lot of what we do is we're the pioneer for building the systems that'll eventually be really important 5, 10, 15 years from now. So we always have to think more than 5 feet in front of us. Before this, I was at another arena also in the market, and then I was at smaller venues before that, and then I've been in the music side of the business for about 13 years. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Erin. Over to you, Amber.
Yes, thank you so much, Ollie. I'm Amber Musgrave. I'm our general manager here for Oakview Group, or OVG 360, for ASU's new Mullett Arena. We are a 5,000-seat multi-purpose arena right on Arizona State University campus. So we were predominantly built for ASU and ASU men's ice hockey team. And then throughout the construction phase, we actually became a temporary home for our local NHL team as well. So we also house NHL Arizona Coyotes here at Mullett Arena. So been with the company through the construction phase as well, similar to Erin. So during the construction phase, and then for our grand opening, which we're about to hit our 1-year anniversary here. October 1st is when we officially moved into the building, yes, and launched everything. And then October 14th being our first ASU game. So been through that process, and certainly had the exciting time of building and designing and launching everything with our website and our marketing plan.
Thank you, Amber. Becci,
Hi,
last but not
Ollie.
least.
Thanks for having me today. So yes, I'm Becci Thomson. I'm the head of premium sales and service at Co-op Live, which is the new arena being built in Manchester in the UK. My background is venues, and I was previously to this, I was at the O2 Arena in London. So I actually moved up to Manchester for this project. It's a once in a lifetime project to see something this big be built in the UK. So it's great for Manchester, but just for the UK as well. So excited to tell you a bit more about it today.
Brilliant. Yeah, well, there's lots to get into. So without further ado, I think it would be good to start with Erin. So Erin is the UBS Arena is coming up to 2 years at this point.
Yeah.
It opened in the height of COVID, and well, it was at the height. Who knows what the height was? It just kept going. But I think it'd be really interesting just to explain a little bit about the New York market, Erin. Resident teams, and I suppose what you have sort of learned in that sort of 2-year period.
Yeah, so we have a very challenging market that's very unique compared to a lot of other markets, right? If you go to Nashville, you have one home team, you have the Predators, you have Brightstone Arena, and that's the only really game in town. But in New York, we're the city that never sleeps. There's always something to do. There's always something to see. We have a lot of home tenants. We have New York Giants, New York Jets, New York Yankees, New York Mets, Islanders, Rangers, Knicks, Neds. There's so much sports in the market. There is Nassau Coliseum, you have us, you have Barclays Center, you have Newark, New Jersey has a Arena Prudential Center, and then you have Madison Square Garden, all within 30 minutes of one another. So there's a lot of competition for us. There's a lot of competition even just to get the programming, right? Because maybe an artist is only picking one venue in the market. And so we're kind of always trying to figure out how to differentiate ourselves and make ourselves special to get that artist in the first place. And then there's the second piece of it is if they're doing multiple plays, how do we get the fans to choose us over the, you know, MSG show or the Barclay Center show? And it's, you know, it's friendly competition, of course. We do play nice in the sandbox, but there's a lot going on. And then you have Broadway and you have a million restaurants and you have outdoor venues. And so there's a lot, it's a very saturated market. It's a very competitive market, but it keeps us on our toes.
Amazing. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a crazy amount of competition. But I think a really important piece of this is, so you moved from the Barclay Center to Elmont, and you know, I was just looking up on your website, which you had 1.5 billion investment and expecting a 25 billion lifetime investment or lifetime economic impact. Like how was that move? What did it look like then from I suppose coming to the area, and what did that process look like?
So for the team had played at Nassau Coliseum just down the road from us on Hempstead Turnpike for most of their career, most of their time, their tenure. And then when we had that space had undergone some renovations and they'd moved the team to Brooklyn, which was a challenging move because most of those fans were on Long Island, right, outside of the city and outside of that urban market. So certainly challenging. And really the team they had gone back to the other venue, then the pandemic had hit, but they really needed a really good new home. And it's funny because I had worked at all those venues in the interim, but it needed a new home, and this is really what brought it all to life, and this vision of creating this campus. And in terms of economic impact and what you're mentioning, we're a campus, and we're just outside of the city. It's ironic, if you go off of one exit to get to us, we're like in Queens, but if you go to a different exit, we're actually in Long Island and Nassau County. So it's urban, but it's not, which is kind of nice. You can walk through the campus. We've activated our campus as well with different fan activities because we realize that's what makes us different. And we're the only venue really that has both mass transit very easily as well as parking. So if you go to Madison Square Garden, it's very mass transit friendly, but it's challenging to park in Manhattan. And same with Barclay Center in Brooklyn, right? So it's really nice that we kind of have that ability for all people, and having our transit system right on our campus has certainly helped us. That was a new system, a new train station that was built. It was the first station in 50 years that had been built for the building. It's a commuter station too. So what's nice is it serves people going to work. It's not just running for our events, which is really great. So certainly a good economic impact there.
Brilliant. Thank you, Erin. And Amber, going to you. So the Mullett Arena, as you said, is coming up to the year anniversary, which is super exciting. How did you find, I suppose, the period before you opened, and where do you see, how's that first year gone?
For sure. Yeah, we had the trifecta, I like to say. We were in a very unique situation. On the one hand, obviously a brand new building, brand new construction build. So we didn't even have a name at the time. We were just a multi-purpose arena. So we were still waiting for the university to get the donor name that would eventually become, of course, the best name in a hockey arena that's possible with Mullett. So we were a brand new arena. We were also new for the university in the sense that I believe we were the very first venue that the university has actually partnered with an outside entity to manage one of their venues. So every other venue on campus here, whether it is the football stadium or the basketball arena or Gamage Theater, Auditorium, all of those are handled within ASU and Arizona State University. And so we were the first time that they really looked outside the box and said, hey, we want to bring in the professionals, the folks that know live entertainment, and really bring the right people to the table to partner with. And so it's really been that learning curve with the university of saying, we are partners together, we are one in this together, but we are also OVG and a separate company. So it's been that learning curve there. And then of course to top off the trifecta, I was new to the company myself, and 99% of our employees at the time during construction were all brand new to OVG and the Oakview Group family. So we were just learning how Oakview Group worked, and then of course the icing on the cake was the first time working with Usher U, and so we were a part of that triad of venues that were the first to launch with Usher U. And really what made it so seamless was Usher U, and really working with you, Ollie, and your team, as far as just the communication level that we had with you all, to be able to state, okay, here's what we can offer, but here's how we can do variations on that, because for us, we don't control parking, whereas other venues, they do manage and control parking, and that's a big revenue stream for them. So to have your team be able to say, not a problem, we can make it front and center, or we can kind of put it on the back burner. So just those customizations where, we were able to all launch around the same time, but also have that uniqueness to each of our venues that we really enjoyed. The other very unique thing about us is, for us, the university manages all of their own ticketing side of things. So ASU, Sun Devil Athletics, we are the home to the men's ice hockey team, which is, what you see here. And so all of that is run through Sun Devil Athletics ticketing system. So they have their own ticketing platform, they have their own marketing platform, they have their own staffing for all of that. And then same thing when we brought in the NHL team, they have their own ticketing platform and their own marketing team and all of the stuff that they do. And then OVG kind of falls with everything in the middle there for, family shows, concerts, comedy, high school, you name it in between. And of course, wanting to supplement and enhance all of the activities done by our two tenants. So there's actually opening night right there, October 14th, when Sun Devils took the win for the university here. So yeah, very, very unique trifecta, and certainly a fun experience to go through.
Amazing, Amber. And you didn't have to say the kind words, but they're really appreciated. I think what's really unique, I suppose, is that you are both the university and that you have the NHL team on campus. I suppose it must have brought some really exciting moments for the university, but also sort of challenges trying to bring all that together. Was that a bit of a chaotic sort of 2-3 months before you opened?
Oh, for sure. Yep, definitely. Exciting and chaotic is the world we all live in. And it's one of those things that all of us have in common. Either the event world is in your blood or it's not. Either this lifestyle you just absolutely love and thrive in it, or you want to stay as far away from it as possible. We were just laughing the other day. We went to a sporting event, and once you're in the industry, you can't go to an event and not see signage placement and trash can placement and queue lines and all that sort of stuff, and think pros and cons of it, and try to pull from best practices of what they've done or haven't done. You can't just go and enjoy any kind of live event anymore, as far as just kind of tuning that stuff off. But it's also where you pick up so much information and knowledge and everything. But yes, for sure, dealing with both a college team and a professional team was very unique, because the building, when it first slated, was not built for that. So, we are 5,000 seats. So here you can see, obviously it looks great full. That was our sold out show with Bert Kreischer, stand-up comedian. That was actually 4 days of sold out shows during the Super Bowl when they were hosted here in Phoenix. But it's 5,000 seats, so not a typical size for an NHL team. Even things down to alcohol sponsors. Typically alcohol sponsors is something that you don't see a lot in college arenas, but certainly you do on the NHL side. Even our center ice logo, our center ice logo has a dual logo, so it has both the university pitchfork as well as the Arizona Coyotes Kachina. So very unique setting there. And what that has done is given international exposure to both sides of it. So to groups that would not know who ASU is or what ASU does, or that ASU has a hockey program, now are being seen across the country, across the world, especially as the Coyotes head over to Australia for preseason games. They're seeing ASU, and ASU is now directly tied to the highest level of professional hockey, and has been great from a recruiting side for the team. And then vice versa for NHL to now open up to the college campus, and for these college students to see that be introduced. Most of these students have never been to a hockey game in their life, and now they're seeing, you know, hockey at all levels. And so it's just been that cross promotion, cross utilization. Certainly some headaches with it, and some fun obstacles that we've gone through, but overall just a great opportunity for both sides.
Great. Amber, we'll come back to some of the audience, because I think it's really interesting about how the students, you know, how it sort of helps them from both sides, and we'll come back in a second. But Becci, from your perspective, I suppose you are slightly different because your arena is opening up in the early part of next year. And yeah, I'd love to just learn a little bit more about the arena itself, the big plans, and you know, what's different and how it's going to stand out in the UK market.
Yeah, absolutely. So we open in April next year, so not long to go now. I've been working on this project for about 2.5 years. So by the time the venue opens, I'll have just hit the 3-year mark. And it's incredible. I was actually going through photos on my phone 2 years ago to see all the excavation, and, you know, it didn't look like anything for a while. Then it looked like a few poles, and now it really is fully built. We had a topping out ceremony in July where the last final piece of the roof goes on. So we double up our staffing that are working on the build to kind of just plow through now to that internal fit out. So Co-op Live is a music venue. So unlike some of our sister venues in the States, we don't have a sporting tenant. Music is our tenant, and we reinvent ourselves every single night. We'll do about 80% music, 10% sport, so your big boxing, UFC, wrestling, that kind of thing, and then 10% sport and family shows. And we'll be doing about 120 events in our first year, hopefully getting up to about 150 by year 5, once we're fully up and running. So Co-op Live is a joint venture between Oakview Group, 50% shareholder, 50% shareholder with City Football Group, Man City. For anybody that hasn't been reading the news, obviously they're doing very well at the moment. They just won the treble last season, so it's brilliant for Manchester, and we have a lot of very happy City fans that are also clients of ours as well. And then we have 3 private investors, one of which you may have heard of. He's called Harry Styles. He's a bit of a big deal. So he is actually from Manchester. Well, he's like up and coming. Up and coming, yeah. So he has put his own cash into the building. It's a financial investment, but he's also been really heavily involved in the back of house creation, the design of one of our premium spaces. So we were able to get some extra time out of him during lockdown and get some of his you know, insights into what do artists want when they come to an arena of this size. But yeah, capacity wise, will be 23,500. So we'll be the largest arena in the UK. Purpose built for music, so we haven't got like a vast kind of tinny roof that a lot of the arenas in the UK have, because they were purpose built for sport. Everything is acoustically treated, even down to the paint. So as a fan, you will get an amazing acoustic experience in Co-op Live. We will be able to do sport, but it's purpose built for those music shows. And then I look after all of the premium experiences. So we've got 12 premium lounges, boxes, different experiences. You just saw the Bentley record room there. That is our VVIP lounge that we just launched a couple of months ago. It's back of house, so next door to the green room, the artist green room and dressing room. And it's a music venue within a music venue. So whatever is on in the main arena will be mirrored in here and actually interlinks into that green room. So you might get a glimpse of the artist or some of the artist's friends and family, and it's linked with 100 of some of the best seats in the house. So we're doing really, really well with that one because it's just so unique. And if you've got, you know, people that want something a little bit different when they're coming to see a music show, this is definitely that. But yeah, we've got your typical boxes, lounges with lots of different dining options. And it's just amazing to be able to offer that to, you know, the people of Manchester, but also people traveling from London or overseas or Europe. So we'll have a lot of residency. So that's when an artist will come to Manchester and Co-op Live, and they won't be playing any other venue in Europe. So it's a huge legacy project for Manchester. The impact back into the city over the next 15 years is about £1.5 billion. So everybody is really proud that it's coming to Manchester. Everybody's on board, the council, everybody. So yeah, it's an exciting project to welcome.
Amazing. Actually, one of the before we sort of open it fully up, I think one of the pieces that was really interesting chatting Becci is that there's going to be no like advertising in the venue. And whose ideas were these to sort of say is we don't want that? Was that something that came from like Harry, or is that?
Yeah, so you'll see there, so inside the Arena Bowl, it's completely clean. We have no partner or sponsor branding. It comes from Co-op Down. So Co-op is our naming rights partner. And that was feedback from Harry, Bruce Springsteen, who's friends with Tim, our owner. They said sometimes when they're performing to an arena and they can see that branding, you know, whether that's static or digital, it can really take away from their art. So we could, I mean, it could have been a huge commercial driver for us, but we chose to remove that from the bowl because we can do the commercial bits elsewhere and keep it purely for the artist to activate in when they come to Co-op Live. So yeah, it's a huge point of difference for us. And we always say that Co-op Live is for the fans, so you have a great acoustic experience, but also for the bands and the artists, to want them to encourage them to come to Manchester and play 1, 2, or even more nights with us.
Brilliant, thank you. So I suppose probably a really good place to kick off, and guys, just jump in as you see fit here, is around the content. And you know, I think there's quite different parameters, obviously, where Becci and Co-op Live doesn't have, you know, resident sports teams. But let's just leave the tenants aside for now. Before you opened, like, how do you decide what content is right? You know, was there times when you got something that you thought would work that didn't work for certain reasons? And you know, for the guys who are open, what did you learn, and what have you changed since?
That's a great question. I think we knew early on, based on what works in the market at another venue down the road, is a good indicator for us. Having the home tenant, you said don't bring the home tenant in here, but it helps us knowing that those fans are already in our building. They're already excited about it. But I mean, it was highly anticipated that they felt they had a home. And so giving them a home, not just for their hockey, but being able to say, I mean, yeah, UFC, you have right up there. UFC is a great crossover genre act for us, not act, but a genre event for us that does very well with those hockey fans, right? So those we knew would be a home run for us, classic rock and some of these others. Where I think we were pleasantly surprised is the amount of volume, both in fanship, but also the number of shows that we've gotten that have been successful for us in Latin and in K-pop. And Latin wasn't so surprising, just because from looking at census data, we knew that there was a lot of Latin and Hispanic heritage within the general area, but the fact that they're choosing us is really, really nice. And then the K-pop culture did really well for us for a few events, and I think now we've created this home K-pop. For those of you guys who have had K-pop maybe in your buildings or have heard, it's very, very cultural. These are fans that are very vocal on social media. They love engaging with you, and if you engage back, they embrace that and they get to tell your message for you, which is very credible. And so we have found really fantastic success with K-pop, and it only helps us get that next show. And the fans really choose us then, which is nice. I think that's been really successful, surprisingly successful for us. Latin, the census data was there, but we didn't know that they would come. And then, yeah, the classic rock and some of these other sporting events are sort of WWE, AEW, both been in the building. They're no-brainers for us as well, because again, they have a lot of crossover with our hockey fan. And family does well for us. It always has done well on Long Island. It's very suburban. But we noticed that there's a lot of families that come to games on the weekends. And so it's a really nice opportunity for us to cross-promote to them. So.
Yeah, and I'm sure also to bring new people in. You know, someone's going to a Disney on Ice, you know, they're learning about the building, checking out what else is coming.
Yeah, exactly.
Amber, Becci, actually, I don't know. Sorry, go ahead, Amber. Sorry, go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, is, you know, Becci, you've had an announcement today.
Yes, about 2.5 hours ago. Yeah, Olivia Rodrigo.
Tell us about the content that has come to date.
Well, we've only really just started to announce shows in the last 2.5-3 weeks. So we've got 5 shows on sale now. Eric Clapton, Jonas Brothers, Niall Horan, Keen, and then today Olivia Rodrigo. So it's a really wide range of content in terms of demographic. I think for us, we want to make sure that there is a mix and that we have different fans coming into the building every night. Metallica crowd is very, very different to a Harry Styles or a Taylor Swift. And especially for our premium clients, we want to make sure that there's something for everybody, so they can give their tickets to their children, or they can bring their parents, or it's something that they're going to want to come to. But the most important thing for us is that the artist is able to sell 23,500 tickets, because if they don't, it's probably not worth booking Co-op Live.
And so as these are being announced, you're obviously seeing spikes in traffic to your website, social channels.
Yes.
You're probably still like getting up to speed on how to handle this, but any learnings or insights to date?
We've got a lot of younger fans on social media, especially on Instagram. There's a huge pool of Harry Styles fans. So whenever we put anything out, it doesn't even have to be related to Harry Styles. They just comment saying, when are you announcing Harry Styles? So Olivia Rodrigo, it's a very similar demographic. So they're all over social media and Twitter. We've had some really nice tweets. But then you have Eric Clapton. We have a huge demand on extra tickets, if people wanting to bring extra people when they're already a premium client, but not so much on social media, but just because it's an older crowd. So you can sort of see the ones that are more, like Erin said, the ones that are more vocal on social media and kind of want to engage with you and engage with other fans, and ones that are a bit more probably behind, more on emails kind of thing.
Great, thank you, Becky. Amber, sorry to cut across you earlier.
No, all good. I was just going to say similar, we're dipping our toe in all genres. We're certainly with 68 home hockey games, the season is definitely full with hockey. The folks that follow hockey know that Mullett Arena is the place in the Valley now to come for hockey. We do high school hockey, we do club hockey, we do a little bit of every type of hockey out there. So really we're trying to hit all the demographics, all the genres when it comes to the live shows. So we've done everything from lucha libre, Mexican wrestling, jiu-jitsu. We were the home for the World Hip Hop Dance Championship finals. So literally 3,000 dancers from across the world, all culminated here at Mullett Arena for their finals, to be able to find who was crowned for that hip hop dance championship. And then Mount Joy, indie rock band, like I said, the Bert Kreischer stand-up comedian, and then Trippie Redd. So just such a wide range of that, so that we can really try to build up our database and build up our awareness of who we are, what we do, what we bring to the table here within the market and across the globe. Just this month, we've got Pat Benatar coming up. So similar to what Becky was saying, as far as, typical older demographic for the Pat Benatar show, which is a lot more email correspondence and higher on the premium side, whereas Trippie Redd a lot more from the influencer side and from the social media side, and trying to hit them with that. The World Hip Hop Dance was great on the influencer side, so had a premium suite that the influencers came. They filmed video here. They really showed kind of their experience and walking through the arena and all the amenities that we have here. So again, just trying to touch on all of them as we're in this inaugural year.
Yeah, and I'm sure each act you're doing, you're learning about how the students but the local community interact. And obviously you have a slightly different show. Well, Erin has off seasons as well, but your off season is where there's no students on campus, so it must be a very particular challenge for you.
Yes, ASU is actually the largest public university in the country. So as far as the difference that you see from during school season and off season, significant difference. I mean, everything from walking to the venue is a huge change. But the Valley, the Arizona market here, obviously Phoenix is the 5th largest market. So we don't rely 100% on the students, but they certainly help lead to a lot of our ticket sales when it comes to the shows that pertain to them or the events that pertain to them. But yes, certainly a big difference there as far as that on-site demographic that is, you know, a little bit easier to reach out to by just putting a marquee billboard up on the building versus going into the downtown area, purchasing a billboard and trying to get to the ticket buyer that way.
Great. Thank you for that. There's just a quick question come in from Katie here, and I suppose if anyone in the audience has questions and want to ask them, please just fire ahead and ask them as we go. It's one for you, Becci, which is about premium clients, and how do you define premium client?
Yeah, sorry. So about 10% of our inventory in the building sits as what we call a premium seat. So that could be a seat within a box. It could be a premium membership where they've got a restaurant table and then they've got premium seats. So in fact, our whole of level 2 is premium. It's the premium level. So those people are buying an annual membership. Our memberships are a minimum of 2 years. Our private boxes are a minimum of 3 years. So it's a lot of people that are doing a lot of entertaining. We have got quite a lot of private clients as well that just want to look after their friends and family. So it's a real mix. But the one thing that they all have in common is they're all from the Northwest, mostly Manchester and in the surrounding areas.
We also provide quite robust premium in our building too. Sorry, Oliver. I was going to say we have 5 suites and 55 suites, 5 clubs, and each club is very unique. Even the 2 different suite types are very unique. Different people in different clubs, right? Some of them are hockey only clubs where they have a right of first refusal to buy on concerts, but they're generally a hockey fan going to a hockey club. And we find that those tend to be individuals because those are the, you know, more affordable packages, still very expensive, but more affordable, as opposed to, you know, some of these other clubs are really corporate entities buying them and entertaining in that way. And then it's interesting, we have a club called our UBS club, which is got an opera box attached to a club. So you sort of have the privacy of a suite with the ability to mix and mingle with other entities in a network in the club. And we've hosted, now that we're open, we've hosted different networking events and panels within that club, because we find that a lot of the smaller businesses on Long Island really love that advantage of being able to entertain in their own little opera box people that they've brought, but then also maybe generate additional business as well and see that as a networking opportunity.
Great, Erin. Actually, let's jump into the premium hospitality space. It's really, really interesting here. So I suppose it's probably a question for you, Erin, like what, if you had to give any advice to Becci, who's just about to open up from a premium hospitality experience, like what did you learn from the New York market that you think would, you know, translate to the Manchester market, or generally what were the things that you learned and, you know, improved on the fly in the last 2 years?
Yeah, I think we have to identify the differences between each of those clubs, and we had to identify our wealthiest buyers as well in different segments and areas and zip codes that were really strong for us. Now it's a little bit easier because we can see someone who spent on a P1 ticket, maybe for Aerosmith, and spent quite a bit of money that didn't even know that we do single suite rentals and that they don't have to do an annual lease. And so it's really great for us to reach out to them and say, hey, we know when we identify that they're financially qualified, but maybe they just don't know that they can do a single suite rental for the next time a classic rock show comes around. And so it's been good for us in that sense. It looks like what you've gone on sale with so far isn't necessarily those, but I mean, there's P1 tickets are not cheap, right? Even when they are Harry Styles or even when they are Olivia Rodrigo or some of these younger acts. And we know that some of the parents for those that are buying those tickets are willing to spend. And so, you know, identifying who within your own database is already spending is a really great place to start too sometimes.
And is it a mix? What's the mix, like corporate to private?
It depends on the space for us. We find that certain clubs are pretty much individuals. Our Hyundai Club and our Dime Club, a lot of them are individuals. Whereas we see our Spotlight Club and our suites, they're obviously a higher investment. We see that those tend to be corporate. And then, like I said, our UBS club is kind of that, it is a business, right? It's more of a business play, but it's not necessarily a big corporation like a Heineken buying. It's a lot of the small businesses, and there's a lot of those on Long Island. And so identifying those has been really helpful for us.
Okay. And a question which I'll ask you quickly, Erin, but it definitely applies to Amber too, is are these spaces very separate for an Islanders game or a Coyotes game versus, you know, the concert series? So like, are they tied into the teams? And then is there very different commercial models?
Yeah, they're all accessible throughout the shows as well, with the exception of our Hyundai Club, which is positioned behind where we would be for most stages. But when we sell in the round, so case in point, we had our Billy Joe show go up for New Year's Eve. He's playing in the round, so we're able to sell that as a package as we would otherwise, which is really nice. But yeah, most of the time, I'd say all the clubs except that one tend to end up being open. Our Dime Club is almost like a concourse club in the sense that half of that section of the arena, it's quite a number of sections, about 4 sections of inventory actually access that club, and the experience is a little different. So for hockey, you may have certain things included that may not be included for concerts. So communicating that can sometimes be, if you go back to one of these, any one of these, sorry, you can see almost on one whole side of the arena, it's actually access to a club, which you can see sort of on the left-hand side of the screen there, where you see some of the ADA platforms. Just beyond that is actually a club.
Great. Amber, from your perspective?
Yeah, definitely. Similar in that we have premium as a primary driver here, but at only 5,000 seats, while our club numbers and our suite numbers are a lot less as far as the percentage to the total number of seats in the building is a similar percentage number. So for our 5,000 seat arena, we have 20 standard suites as well as 2 group suites or party suites. And then we have our Coors Light Club Chill for both ASU hockey as well as NHL hockey. The Coors Light Club Chill is an all-inclusive club for all those that purchase club seats, where OVG Hospitality manages all of the food and beverage in there. There's a full buffet as well as a carving station that rotates through every single game. And then, of course, the full hosted bar for them that features a number of our, corporate sponsors and global partnerships from the liquor and beer and seltzer standpoint. So for both the NHL and NCAA, they make that an all-inclusive package. For most of our shows, they've been just doing that club as a GA, bar area that anybody can access and take advantage of. I think as these shows start to continue to come back and they get familiar with that space, then they'll upgrade that area to be more of a VIP exclusive area. Right now, of course, the floor seats and the, kind of front rows are those VIP, but as they see the advantage of that club, that'll continue to grow and expand. And the nice thing about having the 2 home tenants is they definitely are always keeping one up with the other. So, when one offers something in the club, the other one, may see that and say, hey, we don't want to have our guests feel like they're getting a lesser experience when they come for a hockey game. And so then they step up their game, and it just becomes this great back and forth where we're continuing to improve the experience that the guest has when they come and enjoy Mullett Arena. So it's a nice competition that we have going.
Always good to have competition. Moving on to the audience, I suppose audience now and sort of around the marketing. And Becci, it's probably something I'll pass to you first here. Like, how are you engaging the Manchester community or the wider the North community or Northeast community? And what's that journey like from when you started to build on the site through to April?
Yeah, so we've kind of been out in the marketplace talking to people for over 2 years now, and we knew it was a long way off, and people sometimes can only think about something that's 6 months ahead, so we knew it was a longer term goal. So we were quite strategic with who we wanted to come in to buy suites. That's what we went on sale with first, because they're the biggest kind of inventory in the building. And Manchester's a very small city, so actually there's a saying, it's not who you know, it's who knows you. And actually, once you've got a few people on board, ripples and referrals, about 40% of our business comes from referrals. We've got an experience centre in the Northern Quarter, which is an area really close to where the arena is being built. So we invite people in. I mean, once we've qualified them, our team will take them through a very short sort of Teams call. Then we'll bring them in, and we've got almost like an interactive walk-through showroom experience where we really get them on board with the story behind it. We don't just go straight in with the premium. That's almost secondary. It's about telling them the journey, well, the reason why we're building here in Manchester, how, you know, who's involved from a partnership level. Co-op being based here in Manchester, heritage brand, their partnership is really, really special. It actually touches every single part of their business, from community through to education, and of course food and beverage, which is their business. For any of you that don't know, they're a huge supermarket brand here in the UK, so I'm very lucky to have them on board. So it's about that journey, the sustainability, the job creation. I mean, in the build alone, this building is creating 3,500 jobs, all paid above the Manchester living wage. Once the venue's open, it will create 2,000 jobs across venue and food and beverage, again, all paid above the Manchester living wage. Then there's the story of the bowl, and, you know, how we're purpose building this arena for music, which is something really, really unique to the UK. And then we kind of go in with the hospitality options, and people generally just want to be part of it, you know, whether they're in for a box or a membership. They really kind of believe in the long-term vision, and I think that's why we've secured our clients for longer term contracts than what we originally had planned for. So half of our suite holders have come in for 7 and 10 year contracts, and they did that 2 years ago. So with no content announced and just the story and Tim's vision, we were really, really pleased to have them on board. So one thing that we have actually done, which I think has been one of our most successful ideas, and it just sort of happened, it wasn't a plan, was we really created a premium member community. So we bring our clients together whenever we can. We do big summer party, we did a big Christmas party, a year to go countdown party. We take clients that we think will get on, we'll take them to lunches and dinners and entertain them in any way that we can. And they're all friends with each other, they're doing business with each other, they all know their neighbours, and of course they're referring clients back to us as well, which is really, really special. So I think that is, you know, if we're doing another one of these, that's really, really key, is actually engaging the premium member community, but then that also goes across to the general community, and making sure that we engage the people that live around the area of Co-op Live. So we have regular residents meetings, so we tell them the plans before they happen. We haven't had any objections so far. They're really happy for this building to open right on their doorstep. And then we engage all of the council and Transport for Greater Manchester, and making sure that we've got them on board as well.
Wow. 7, 10 years. They really need to be sure they're going to be in Manchester in 7 years'
I know.
time. That's pretty incredible. Erin, from your perspective, anything? How did you manage this? Because obviously New York is a crowded marketplace.
It's definitely different for us because we were in the midst of the pandemic. And I remember we have a preview club, which I know a lot of the OVG venues that are opening do. I know Seattle had done that, our sister venue, and Climate Pledge, and I think some of the others as well, where we were able to invite people out. I will say it was certainly challenging for us because that space holds, say, 70 or so people, 60 people, and we can only have 30, right? So New York State guidelines definitely restricted us, and different federal guidelines at that time. So it was definitely challenging, but similar to Becca, you know, we got people out for a hard hat tour. We had done a summit, a one-day summit at we have a horse racetrack right on our campus. And we did a summit, and we did sort of like a one-day conference, and then walked people over for a tour. We had gone to golf courses and where would we find people? How do we go to them? Right? As opposed to making them necessarily come to us too. So we had tried a lot of tactics. I think our team did a really good job at doing that networking piece. Like Becca said, I think people want to be entertained. They want to create real relationships before they buy. This is a big investment. It's a down payment on a house, right? So I think our biggest challenge, and I wonder how it would have been different if we didn't have some of the restrictions that we had at that time. But you know, you're faced with what you're faced with, and you kind of go forth. So
it's different times. Makes it very difficult. There's a couple of questions here which I think are kind of related to this here. So I'm gonna say the two of them. Just one is about innovative marketing tactics, which I think some of the things that both of you have talked about have answered to that. Is there anything else from an innovative marketing tactics perspective that you thought before you opened that you think are worth sharing? And a second one is about I suppose influencers and what the role they play. That's not exactly the question, but I'll keep it sort of loose like that for now.
Yeah, definitely. As far as from innovation marketing, it's just every day is different and every day is unique, and trying to take advantage of the happenings in the world and the happenings in the area and the happenings on campus. We recently announced our Money Bag Yo show, and it's during homecoming week. So trying to take advantage of how shows fall in the calendar and what's around them to really create an atmosphere for that. So you're not just buying a ticket to come to a 2-hour show, but you're buying a ticket for a full experience, and you're going to come. We have a plaza area that we activate outside with inflatables and food trucks, and really from a marketing side, there has to be more to things nowadays than just simply the 90-minute set. And so as both panelists have referenced, there's just so many elements that go into that. So what we found has worked is unfortunately on university campus, typically tailgating is not allowed. So when you would come normally for a football game, you would come a couple hours before and you would tailgate in the parking area, but with no tailgating allowed. How can we still get those folks to come early? They want to avoid the traffic. They want to get here. They want to make sure that they can come straight from work and not have to, figure out something to do for 45 minutes while they wait for the doors to open. So we've given them that space where they can actually arrive here, have those activations, have discounted pricing on food and drink out there where they get the happy hour discounts and really incentivize them for coming early. And then of course, easier for parking, easier for, traffic congestion. All those elements just lead into a better experience for everybody that's arriving. So just, again, kind of playing off of those uniqueness, things that we can add to it.
Same for us as well. We often have a lot of the same tours that the other venues in the market have, because they'll stop at a couple different places on, the same weekend. And we're always saying, not how do we activate our campus and make it different? We have 2 terraces as well in the building that are accessible to everyone. You don't have to be a premium member. I do feel like, and we have a restaurant as well, and I do feel like one of our terraces has become a nightclub of sorts. It's kind of funny on games. You can't even get out there. It's like, you're packed like this, but we have some games out there, cornhole, this, that. And then also we try to do something that's specific to the show, that's unique and one of the kind, that's a photo op moment or something like that. So for Aerosmith, we had last weekend, we had a photo op moment. We had it inside because it was raining, but we know then that it's a farewell tour. We had almost as you're walking up, right? Walk this way. We had sort of decals and factoids about their history and their amazing career. And so as you walked up to that and you were waiting online, you had some factoids to read. So I think those are really great for on-site. That doesn't get the people there. That's how you get better word of mouth for the next show. But I think there was a question then that said like about deepening relationships in the community, right? And so for us, we've partnered with a lot of local hotels. We'll do staycation packages with Garden City Hotel. They're incredible to work with. We've done that. There's local restaurants we've done some promos with. There's some local bars we've done some things with. The team has a very established bar network, which is great for them. We are not quite at that level just yet. They've been working at it longer. But even just, I'd say as of last week, we're how do we meet with these consulates for some of these K-pop or Latin shows or some of these other areas of the business that maybe we don't even have those relationships, right? And then what's nice is they can connect us to other community partners that maybe we wouldn't already know because we're not the experts. So for Mana, they're a Mexican band. We had a Mexican bakery come in and home make desserts and pastries and things for the crew. And that also helps us get the next show, which I think is critical when you're talking about programming. You want the right programming in the building because ultimately you need the right programming in the building. So I think that really helps us. I will also say too, there's some artists that are very passionate about certain areas as well. So Billie Eilish is incredibly passionate, as we know, about sustainability. And that was pretty critical for us to make sure that as we were pitching to get her show, we were showing all the sustainable efforts that we had. Which we're a very sustainable building. I think OVG really we pride ourselves on that in all of our buildings, truly. But we did a welcome for her in the back of house. And then it was out of seed paper. I was writing her name on the wall. And then we took that seed paper and we actually planted it on the campus. So it's things like that we want to do more of because it helps. It's great for the fans to see. It's cool for them, but also we don't just market to the fan. We also market to the industry too. So.
Yeah, fascinating. I never actually thought of that angle. If you're making the acts happy with good quality bakery food, and they tell some other act, and all of a sudden you get better content. I suppose it goes back to an earlier point, which is about it's not seeing this as the next 6 weeks. It's looking at 7-10 years down the road for yourselves.
Exactly.
And building that community in a really, I suppose, authentic way is really important. We've 10 minutes left here, and just I wanted to just actually jump into sustainability, which I think is a really interesting topic for lots of different reasons. And I suppose as as the world is changing and climate change are happening, it's becoming more and more important. And have you noticed that from both the acts? Like, is this something that you're getting more and more people asking from the talent and also from the community and the audiences about what you're doing?
Yeah, I think it's definitely both. I've done other shows too, not here, but with other artists that they're very specific about the different things that they want to see because they talk the talk and they walk the walk, and they need you to as well if they're going to play with your venue.
And Becci, I was reading on your site, you have a football pitch and a half worth of solar panels and all the water. I'll let you explain.
So yeah, we'll be, like most of the other OVG venues, sustainability is massive on the agenda, and we'll be carbon neutral by day one. So 10,500 solar panels, which is a football pitch and a half. We harvest all the rainwater, single waste to landfill, everything that's no single-use plastics, everything that's coming into the building is vetted. And actually with Co-op, we've written a venue policy. So any supplier or anybody coming into the building has to adhere by this venue policy to make sure that we're doing things the right way. The other thing is where the building is. It's slightly out of town, not really that far. It's about 15-20 minute walk from Piccadilly station, which is one of the central train stations in Manchester. So most people, if they're going to a Man City game, will hop on the tram. A lot of people go by car, and it can get quite congested. So for us, it's really important to make people think in a more sustainable way about how they actually access the venue. So there is a canal pathway and a walking route, which we're putting about £1.5 million into. So we really want to encourage people to walk from central Manchester out to Co-op Live. As I said, it's not far, but if you can imagine 20-odd thousand Harry Styles fans all walking along the same route with up and coming artists performing, food and beverage, activation, Instagram moments, as well as places for partners and sponsors to activate. That's kind of really where we want to get to. We know that not everybody's going to do that, but we really hope, and especially for the younger fans, like Billie Eilish fans, Erin, you mentioned, very, very hot on the carbon footprint and how green they're being. So it is really important, more so in the younger demographic.
Yeah, same here. We predominantly on our OVG hospitality side, so food and beverage, as far as from a sustainability standpoint, the bamboo husk vessels, as far as serving, all of our plates and silverware are all fully compostable. ASU campus has a zero waste, and so across all of our concourses, we've got, of course, both recycle and compost there. We even take the used oil from our fryers, and it's brought back and used in a refinery. So just multi-use, try to eliminate single use from the straw standpoint and plastic bags and everything there that you can do. So every little bit helps.
Brilliant. There's a question coming in here about what are the challenges communicating with ticket holders in advance of a show. I think all three of you use Ticketmaster as your ticketing partner. Have you faced, like, is this a challenge? And I know with COVID it was brought 50 things, but let's not talk about that. Is there any specific challenges and lessons that you could pass on?
I will answer this one because it's a pain point for our building. In a good way, it's gotten better. We've definitely improved. Getting to our building and just understanding the route to our building can be very challenging. So as I mentioned earlier, we have separate exits on the highway for different parking lots. So imagine you get into the wrong place and now you have to be rerouted to the highway. It's an awful experience. So we have come a long way, I think, from trying to identify the different issues so we can address them. So for example, we ask people to put Emerald parking lot at UBS Arena in your GPS, because it will take you right where you need to go. Don't put UBS Arena because you won't end up there. We have a lot of automation as well. There's some things that are manual too, because the train schedules sometimes change, and that always changes up our plans. But what we try to do is alleviate, I think Becca was saying this too, is the parking, right? Because it really helps with traffic. And so now that we've built this brand new station that's full service, we want to make sure people are utilizing it. So we are always encouraging that. So about 10 days out before each show, we have an automated email that says, hey, we noticed you didn't buy parking, so you haven't obviously figured out your plan yet. That's okay. Here's your reminder to figure out your game plan. You can either buy parking or plan your trip, and then we send them to a plan your trip, a very robust. And this was an area that Usher, you helped us a lot with, because if you guys remember, we had so much information and so many different maps and campus maps, and we were like, how do we make this digestible and easy? And so that was something that you guys really helped us solve, and it was very, very challenging. And I think you guys did a fantastic job, and I'm not just saying that.
Thank you.
It was very challenging for us. And then the day of the show or the event, we actually have an automated email that identifies if they did buy parking, which lot they're in. And we give them instructions on how to get to their specific lot so that they don't have to end up being rerouted. And so it's been a point of contention for us since opening. We have a lot of on-site signage as well that we've changed. We have the live stream of the train times as well. So as you're exiting, you know what train to get. We have a shuttle that takes people to the train. They could walk it too. So just communication is key, but also trying to find a format that's not overwhelming is a dance that we do. I think it's helpful that the team, a lot of their fans have now been here a couple of times, so they know what they're in for. And slowly but surely, I think it's helping too that our show fans and our event fans also have become repeat buyers. And I think there's this misconception that we're challenging to get to, but we're slowly breaking that. So
Great. But Becky's has something on totally the other side, the after show. Can you explain some of the plans for the after show, Becky? Because I think it's really, really interesting.
Well, we've sort of developed this quite American concept where we want the dwell time to be a lot longer, and we want the whole experience. And in the UK, it's quite common, it's quite normal really for people to maybe go to a restaurant, then turn up to the venue, to the arena, watch the show, and then pretty much at 11 o'clock, you're kind of out onto the street trying to track down a bar or somewhere to go for a drink. So the actual dwell time in the venue isn't that long. With Co-op Live, we've got 32 bars and restaurants, 12 premium lounges, and then we've got 3 nightclubs. So we want people to come early, eat, drink, have an amazing food and beverage experience, watch the show, and then stay late. And we've got a late license till about 2 o'clock in the morning. So potentially somebody could come at 5 and stay till 2. So that we want them to have that really amazing experience. And I think, you know, if you're from a premium perspective, you're entertaining clients, or if you're with friends and family, you don't always want to go home at 11 o'clock. You're riding the wave of, you know, your favorite artist or your favorite band, and you want to talk about it, and you want to have a 1 or 2 drinks. And it also helps us with egress. So we won't have, you know, 23,500 fans all leaving at one point, and you hopefully won't get a lot of people leaving before the last few songs to try and get on the tram home. It should sort of alleviate that issue.
Sounds great. That sounds like a proper Manchester night out. And I was thinking of the rainwater that you were talking about earlier. If for Amber, that would not be a very good sales pitch when there's probably rains like an inch every year.
A year, yes. We're in the desert. It's still triple digits here, above 100 degrees, and will continue to be that way. But it definitely didn't feel like there was a summer this year, because this is our first year, obviously, our first summer in the building. And when you come to work and it's 60 degrees at your office, then you don't have to worry that it's 120 outside. So
yeah, that's like winter for a lot of people who have to stay indoors for different reasons. And so we're just about to run out of time here. If anyone has questions in the audience, please fire them at us now, and we'll answer them quickly. Just while some questions come in, I suppose a really interesting piece here is around brand partnerships, naming rights, and I suppose sponsorship or in partners in general. This can someone, one of you, go crazy who explain how the process works, and also how, I suppose, you give back to that naming rights partner.
I guess I'll jump in just really quickly with Co-op. So Co-op really want to reach a younger demographic. So to be a co-op member, it costs £1. You sign up and you're instantly a co-op member. So as part of their partnership, co-op members will have access to a pre-sale. So between 24 to 48 hours before general on sale, be the ring-fenced amount, it changes event by event. But if you're a co-op member and you've paid your £1, you get access to tickets. So for something like Olivia Rodrigo, I mean, we've had a record number of people sign up to be a co-op member in the last couple of hours. So it's really great for them to really tap into that younger demographic and also align themselves with music.
It'll be fascinating to see that in 5 years' time. You know, what happens with those consumers? Do they become regular co-op customers? So yeah, we'll come back in 5 years and ask those questions, Becci.
Exactly.
Erin, any other insight?
Yeah, I was just going to give some love to our OVG Global Partnerships team, who have done a fantastic job. Not only do we have the main arena here at Mullett Arena, but we also have our community Iceplex, which is attached to it and connecting with the Mountain America Community Iceplex. And that Iceplex is run literally 364 days a year, 6 o'clock in the morning until midnight every single day. And Mountain America, our partner with that, has really come to the table. It's been a great partnership as far as how they've activated and been able to give back everything through even our merchant services here that we provide on site. And because of the strength of that partnership here for, you know, what was a small community Iceplex has now led to the naming rights of ASU's football stadium. So now what was Sun Devil Stadium is now Mountain America Stadium this year. They just announced it a few weeks ago, and just huge kudos to them as far as what it has grown into. It's the first title sponsor that the university has put on their football stadium in its history. So just huge movements for that. And it really bodes to that relationship and that constant communication back and forth of what OVG venues can offer and what we can provide from a relationship standpoint to give them access to the ticket buyers, to the artists, to the vendors, to the suite holders, just all of the elements that are involved with that.
Super. Erin, you have the last word.
I have a minute. Not enough time to applaud all of our fantastic partners. I had mentioned Heineken on the call. They have a beautiful terrace with us. There's really so many. PitchBook has been wonderful too. Just to call out a few, but I should mention our naming rights, of course, is the biggest partner that we have, and UBS is very involved. I'd worked with other partners previously at other arenas, and I will say they're very involved, which is very nice. We have a very open line of communication, so we can throw anything by them. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, right? But I think they're always very open-minded to what we can do next. And I will just say that their pillar of sustainability is a really big pillar for them, amongst other things, but it is also a very big pillar for us. So there's a lot of nice collaboration there that we're both very proud of. And I'll wrap it there.
Brilliant.
There's so much I can say about our amazing partners, but
well, I think they're obviously a really important part. It's, you know, it's making the show happen when it wouldn't happen without it, you know, those funds and those great spaces. Great. I want to thank Becci, Amber, and Erin so much. You've brought so much. To be honest, we could have spoken an awful lot longer. I really appreciate you coming on today. We have another panel which is going to happen on the 11th of October with also really interesting, not as interesting guests, let's be honest. Don't tell the guys that. So what we're talking about is very much around the premium hospitality experience. And one of the people speaking is Chelsea from the Moody Centre. Two very different partners. One close to where Becci is in Liverpool is Everton Football Club, who are building an amazing stadium and talking about what it means there. And then finally, one of Ireland's biggest exports is horses, and talking about that is Paul from Horse Racing Ireland, who own and manage an awful lot of the major horse racing tracks in Ireland. So I will leave it there, but thank you all for coming today. Thank you for participating, and thank you for the questions. And we look forward to chat to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you. See you later.
Bye.